This is a big one, so grab any snacks or drinks. After The Wiz was filmed and before the movie was released, it was back to business as usual for the Jacksons. However, Michael now felt differently about his family and his career. Satisfied with his work in New York and having been praised by people whose opinions mattered to him, he was filled with a new confidence in himself as an individual artist. He wanted to begin work as soon as possible on a solo album he had been promised by Epic. Even though the rest of the family wanted to concentrate on the third Jackson's Group album for the label, the family won again. The group went into the studio to record Destiny, the first Jackson all but one of the songs. Executive producer Bobby Colombi and Mike Angston did most of the production work. When there was some disagreement as to what credit they should receive. Michael was the only one of the brothers who felt that Colombi and Adiskin should be credited as executive producers. Destiny was by far the most exciting Jackson's album to date, including all of those recorded at Motown. For the first time, the group put together a cohesively structured album. There was no filler songs. All 8 songs were noteworthy. What's more, Michael had never said better than he did in this album. His performance in The Dream Ballad Pushed Me Away with its orchestral sweep and rapturous melody was carefree and effortless. Yet upon closer inspection, it becomes obvious that Michael's delivery is tightly measured and precise. He knows exactly how to sell his mind and the heart and story of a song in order to create the proper mood. As a result of years in the studio and in front of audiences and a genuine love for singing, he had become an inventive, brilliant stylist. Though after a bad start with the high flash pop of Blame on the Boogie, a single that didn't even make it to the top 40 in the US but sailed to the top 10 in Britain. Destiny would fare much better than Going Places. The real showcase was the mesmerizing Shake Your Body Down to the Ground, written by Michael and Randy, released in February 1979. It was the biggest hit of the album, speaking at number 7 on the pop charts and selling 2 million copies globally. Shake Your Body personified the contemporary disco trend with its crackling lead vocal by Michael, wet snapping chorus from the brothers, and instant, persistent backbeat. It is still regarded by many music critics as the perfect dance record and one of the Jacksons' strongest efforts. The Jacksons did many interviews with the press to discuss their new album, often emphasizing that they have been writing songs for years, but Destiny marked the first time they've been able to dominate an album with their own compositions. They have felt they had left Motown to do just this and had gone to feel triumphant. They certainly could not be criticized in terms of their ability to write songs. They proved themselves with Destiny. However, with what was striking about the brothers at this time was how they were still unable to discuss their music with authority. Rather, the brothers, Jackie 27, Tio 25, Marlon 21, Michael 20, and Randy 16, were ambiguous in their comments, merely summing up heaps of platitudes about how wonderful it was to write and produce their own music. Because of their early training at Motown to say only that they were told to say. Now their Jacksons could compress themselves freely to the press. They didn't know how to do it. I was one of the reporters the Jacksons spoke to when they were promoting Destiny. Since I interviewed them so many times in the past, I knew to stay clear of in-depth musically discussions. Still, my time with them that August day, 1978, was memorable. Not so much for what they said about the work as for what I observed about their relationships with one another. When I pulled up to the Jackson's in Chino Estate with my photographer, the anomalous black right iron gate was open, so we were able to drive right through into the circular driveway upon which was parked a carte of Cadillacs, Rolls Royce, and Mercedes Benzes. Three century dogs, penned up at the end of the drive, hurled themselves against the chain link fence. The ferocious barks in stark contrast to the high pitched cries of three large peacocks, also caged nearby. Looking around, I noticed a custom made street sign, Jackson 5 Boulevard, on a nearby tree trunk. I remember the barbecue I had attended a year earlier, which Michael and Jermaine probably nailed the sign, bathed them for themselves as part of the Jackson 5 Day, and Gary to the tree. To my left was the court where I had a few other weekly reporters stood on the sidelines with Michael, Janet, and Latoya while the brothers and members of the Temptations played ball. When I glanced up at the two-story house, I noticed four people looking down at me. Michael, Latoya, Randy, and Catherine stood their solemn faces pressed against the glass panes, almost as if prisoners in a compound. 22-year-old Latoya, looking fresh and young in a white tennis outfit, answering the front door to us. When Michael approached seconds later, she accused herself, dashed out into the driveway, got into a sporty red Mercedes convertible, and sped off, the brakes screeching. Glad you can make it, Michael said as he shook hands. Good to see you again. He was wearing a yellow Jaws t-shirt, black jeans, and a safari hat, around which his afro billowed. His feet were bare. He spoke in an odd falsetto whisper, which seemed even softer than it was the last time we talked. In exactly a week, he would turn 20. Michael led us through the house toward the living room. A huge yellow and green parrot sat perched on a ledge outside the window, shucking peanuts. A red, blue, and yellow cockatoo eyed us warily through another window and let out an ear-piercing shriek as we sat down. How come you're not getting our guests lemonade? Catherine asked Michael when she came into the room. Though she had a limp, she walked into the room with a total self assurance and a bearing that could only be described as regal. She was 49. Oh, sorry, Michael murmured. He dashed off to the kitchen, giving me an opportunity to catch up with Catherine while the photographer set up his equipment. The living room's decor was a mixture of pale yellows, soft greens, and stark white splashed with pink. It was a bit on the garnish side. Catherine told me that she had designed the motif herself, an assignment for a home decorating class. She was getting ready to redecorate the kitchen, she said. She then mentioned that Marco's favorite foods at that time were hot apple turnovers and sweet potato pies. Lately, I can't get him anything to eat. I try and try, she said, dismayed. I keep thinking he'll eat when he gets hungry, but the boy never gets hungry. Have you noticed how skinny he is? It worries me. I looked around. These last few years have sure been good ones, I observed. Maybe the best of your life? Not really, she answered. The best years were back in Gary. She said, her eyes now reflective. We had one bedroom for the boys, and we all slept together in a trump and they all slept together in triple bunk beds. Before going to sleep, I sang folk songs to them. I always wanted to be a country star, she said, but who never heard of a black country star back then? Catherine rose and walked into a small antique writing desk in a corner. She opened a drawer and pulled out a photograph. We were so happy back then, she said. Show me the dog ear picture. It was of the entire family and Gary posing in front of the house in Jackson Street. I gave you all we have now for just one of those days back in Gary, when it was simpler. When we first came to California, I don't know how many times I said, I wish things were the way they used to be in Gary, but things have never been the same, she added, fingering the picture. It's all changed now. Bucko came back into the room with two glasses of lemonade after handing one to me and over to the photographer. He sat in a chair in a lotus position. Catherine excused herself. During our 2 hour interview, Michael shared his thoughts on a wide range of subjects. I don't know I don't know much about politics, he made at one point. Someone told me recently that Gerald Ford was president. He chuckled. He was in good spirits. Not at all shy. Reclusive superstar he would become in a few years. I laughed with him, thinking we were sharing a joke, but we weren't. He was serious. I remember when he was vice president, Michael continued thoughtfully. That I remember, but president? He shrugged his shoulders hopelessly. That I missed. Surprised by his uniform nature, I asked, how do you keep up with current events? Do you read newspapers, watch TV? I watch cartoons, he told me, his eyes lighting up. I love cartoons. I love Disney, the Magic Kingdom, Disneyland. It's such a magical place. Walt Disney was a dreamer like me, and he made his dreams come true like me, I hope. What about current events? Michael looked at me blankly. Current events? Do you read the newspaper? I asked. He shook his head. See, I like show business. I listen to music all the time. I watch old movies, Fred Astaire movies. Jane Kelly, I love, and Sammy Davis. I can watch these guys all day, 24 hours a day. That's what I love the most. We talked about old movies for a while and about his involvement in The Wiz, and then I asked what he saw in his biggest professional challenge. To live up to what Joseph expects of me, living up to what your father expects you is a professional challenge, I asked. Michael mulled over my question. Yes, he decided, a professional challenge. What about the personal challenges? My personal, my professional challenges and personal challenges are the same thing, he said uneasily. I just wanted to entertain. See, when I was in the second grade, the teacher asked me what I wished for. I asked for a mansion, peace in the world, and to be able to entertain. Can we talk about something else? Do you have any friends that you can really confide in? Michael squirmed. No, not really. I'm pretty lonely. How about Tatum? I wondered. Michael considered the question. She's nice, she said. He said. She was happy for me that I got the part in the Wiz. She and Ryan were on my side, helping me with my lines. Tatum understands me. She's going to teach me how to drive a car. She introduces me to people, famous people. Any other friends? Well, I do have one friend, he said, a very dear, close friend I can tell my deepest, darkest secrets just because I know she won't tell anyone. Her name is, he paused for dramatic effect, Miss Dinah Ross. Well, I do have one. Oh, you have deep, dark secrets, Michael? He laughed. Everybody has deep, dark secrets. At this point, Michael was joined by Jackie, Teal, Marley, and Randy. We talked about the grip success at Motown and about the fanatical hysteria generated by their fame. Once at a record store in San Francisco, over 1,000 kids showed up, Michael said in a hushed tone. They pushed forward and broke a window. A piece of glass fell on top of this girl, and the girl's throat was slit. Michael swiftly ran his index finger across his neck. Michael, don't do that. That's gross, Randy said. Michael ignored his youngest brother and continued with his story. She just got slit, and I remember there was blood everywhere. Oh, God, so much blood. And she grabbed her throat and was bleeding. Everyone was just ignored her. Why? Because I was there and they grabbed at me to get my autograph, Michael sighed. I wonder what ever happened to that girl. Probably dead, Tito muttered the pen. Fans were as much a curse as a blessing. We got these three guard dogs. One is named Heavy, one is Black Girl, and the other one don't got no name, Michael said. We have to have them, he insisted. One, a lady jumped over the gate into the house and sat down in the den. We came home and she looked at us, and what did she say? She turned to Marlon for help. What'd that lady say? She said I'm here because God sent me, Marlon recalled. God sent her, Michael repeated. Jackie laughed. Yeah, God sent her to sit in the Jackson Five's den and wait for them to get home so she can get their autograph and maybe their picture of them too. She was a divine mission. And then once a whole family managed to get into the estate somehow, and they toured the house, Marco continued, looking at all our stuff, finding out our most private things, and Janet was here all by herself. It was scary, and sometimes fans ask weird questions. They don't think you're real. Once a fan asked me the most embarrassing question in front of everyone. She said, "Did you go to the bathroom?" I was so embarrassed. In the middle of the interview, good-natured rimbling among the brothers turned nasty when someone brought up the subject of nicknames. Mike has a nickname, Jackie mentioned, his eyes teasing. It's a good one. Michael's smiling face turned serious. Don't, Jackie, he warned. He looked away. We come, please, you guys. Michael pleaded. Big nose, Jackie finished. The brothers laughed among themselves. Michael shifted in his chair. Yeah, big nose, Marlon repeated, grinning. He reached over and punched Michael in his arm playfully. What's happening, big nose? Michael threw Marlon a scathing look. His mouth parted, but no words came out. He would say a little more as long as his brothers were present. After the interview, we walked outside to take photographs in the warm California sunlight. Joseph, a hulking six-footer with a mole on his face, a pencil-thin mustache, and a diamond pinky ring the size of a marble, approached me. You see, I have a philosophy about raising children, he said, engaging me. My father was strict. He was a school teacher, and he treated me like I was one of his students, not like I was his son. I never got any special treatment. I'm glad that happened. I got a strict raising when I was young, and I've been able to accomplish a lot because of that. And my kids have gotten a strict raising, and look at what they accomplished. I think children should fear their parents. It's good when they fear you. It's good for them, and it's good for the parents too. I did my best with those boys, he said, pointing to them as they posed for pictures. Have they ever disappointed you? I asked. A somber expression across his face. Lots of times, he answered. Jermaine's with Barry and Motown instead of with us. He chose Barry over me. Do you know how that makes me feel? It hurts right there. Joseph thumped the left side of his chest with his fist. I've been disappointed other times too, he continued, but I don't think I ever once let my boys down. If I did, too bad for them. You do the best you can do raising kids, he said, smiling. It helped that they had something to look forward to. They always had entertainment and me to rehearse them. And they also play character building sports like football and baseball. Jackie could have been a baseball player if he wanted to in the majors and the Chicago White Sox. They're all good at sports, except for Michael, who never picked up a bat in his whole life. Joseph smiled. It was an unexpected moment of gentleness from him. Would you know what to do with a baseball bat? I think we tease him about it, but he doesn't like it. Michael has always been sensitive, he observed. One thing about Michael, though, Joseph added, is that ever since he was four, he wanted to be an entertainer and he always wanted to be number one. That's why sports upset him because his brothers could whip him and outdo him at sports and he can't be number one in it. But in music, Michael knows he's number one. And speaking of Michael, Marlon told me about what happened. You're not gonna write that part about Michael's nickname, are you? He asked. That boy is so sensitive about his nose, Michael added. Joseph added, do you see anything wrong with his nose? That's all he ever talks about, his damn nose. He threatened to have it fixed, but what can he do about it? I told him I'd break his face if he ever had it fixed. Joseph's green eyes twinkled. He threw back his head and roared with laughter. I don't fix something that isn't broken yet. He's got a great nose. It looks like mine. Afterward, Michael returned to the living room for some final thoughts about his life and career. As the photographer and I watched, he crossed his left leg over his right knee and began absently picking at his toenails. When I'm not on stage, I'm not the same. I'm different, he observed. I'm addicted to the stage. When I can't get onto the stage for a long time, I have fits and get crazy. I start crying and I act weird and freaked out. No kidding, I do. I start dancing around the house. He began to talk rapidly. It's like a part of me is missing and I gotta get back. Cause if I don't, I won't be complete. So I gotta dance and I gotta sing, you know? I have this craving. On stage is the only place I'm comfortable. I'm not comfortable around, he paused searching for the right word, normal people. But when I get out on stage, I open up and I have no problems. He seemed flustered, unnerved. Whatever is happening in my life doesn't matter. I'm up there and cutting loose, and I said to myself, this is it. This is home. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, where God meant for me to be. I am unlimited when I'm on stage. I'm number one, but when I'm off stage, he shrugged his shoulders. I'm not really. Again, he paused, trying to find the right word. Happy. Earlier in the day, I conducted an interview with Sidney Lumet, director of The Wiz. Michael Jackson is the most gifted entertainer to come down the pike, says James Dean. Lumet told me he's a brilliant actor, dancer, probably one of the rarest entertainers I've ever worked with. I share Sidney's observation with Michael. He seemed embarrassed for a moment. Then he asked, who's James Dean? Later, he began talking about his role as a scarecrow in The Wiz. What I like about my character, he observed, is his confusion. He knows that he has problems, I guess you could call them, but he doesn't know why he has them or how he got that way. And he understands that he sees things differently from the way everyone else does, but he can't put his finger on it why. He's not like other people. No one understands him, so he goes through his whole life with this he paused, confusion. Muggle looked off into the distance, now seeming lost in his thought process. Everybody thinks he's very special, but really he's very sad. He's so sad. Do you understand? He fixed his thoughtful gaze on me and asked again. Do you understand his sadness?